Hi Stampers, it's Nancy from Stampin' Shout. Well, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This week we are creating with the Night Divine die set, which is this right here. And we've made lots of cute cards this week, and you can go back and watch the replay if you'd like. But today we're going to make this card right here. So it's a fun fold, but it's also a bit of 3D decor because you can set it up like that and it freestands on your counter or on your shelf. So it's kind of pretty and it folds flat so it's easy to mail. So we're going to do a little bit of fussing today, but that's okay because that's part of the fun of stamping, right? So let me move this out of the way and I'll bring in our supplies. So I have a Cajun Craze card base, and I have some designer series paper, and I have it already cut to size, and I have all that information regarding the measurements and the supplies I used and shopping links on my blog. So you can go to stampinshout.blogspot.com, but the easiest way is to go down into the description below this video, scroll down, and you're going to see project sheet, and you click on that link and it takes you right to my blog and you'll see all the information that you need. So we also have another strip of Cajun Craze and another piece of designer series paper. And let me show you that designer series paper. So that's the sheet that I used to cut up some of the pieces that we needed. And the opposite side is this piece. And if you recall, we used some of this paper earlier in the week. And then this piece here, flip it over, that's the other piece of cardstock or designer series paper that I used. So ahead of time, I went ahead and I cut out a bunch of the pieces that I needed using those dies. So I cut out the images and the camel and a donkey in black. Then I cut out a camel and the cow in Cajun Craze. That's Henry. So I have a camel and cow in Cajun Craze, and I have a little lamb that's in white. So I'm going to put those back away for now. Oh, I also cut out the stable scene in Crumb Cake, and we'll talk about that when we get ready to put that together. So I'm going to score first. I'm going to do that on camera real quick. So I'm going to bring in my scoreboard here. And this is 8 by 4 1/4, and we are going to score it at 1 1/4 and 2 1/2, and the next one is 5 1/2 and 6 3/4. But I like to just flip it around and go 1 1/4 and 2 1/2, and that's all the scoring that we need to do. So I'm bringing my bone folder in and go ahead and give this a good crease. So I'm folding the center ones first, and then the outside ones I'm folding back. Okay, so that's how we create that standing platform, just like that. So real easy. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my designer series paper, and this one is about 2 7/8 by 4, and then I have 4 pieces that are 1 inch by 4 inches, and I am just going to go ahead and glue them all onto the card base. And when I get done, there'll be a little bit of an edge. You'll see the Cajun Craze behind it. So I am also going to glue this designer series paper to the strip. So I'm going to get all that gluing done right now. Okay, so that's all glued together, and you can see all the top pieces line up and the bottom pieces do, but those aren't going to show as much. And then this piece here is all done. So now what we're going to do is we're going to bring in some of these pieces that I cut, and I want to put the inside piece down before I put this all together, so because it's a lot easier to do it first. So I'm going to use this piece here, this strip right here, as my little guide. So I want my images to be down low, because when I put this piece on later, it's going to kind of cover up their heads a little bit, so I want this fairly low. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that down right now. And I also have a white lamb, and I'm going to go ahead and put that on with a glue dot. The lamb has a lot of cutouts, and if I glue it, the glue kind of squishes through. So I'm just going to put a little glue dot on here and kind of put him right down here. And he shows up very pretty against the black images like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to adhere this strip. And I could glue it, but it gets a lot of movement, a lot of action. So I'm going to kind of put some tear and tape right down here. And that's a little bit stronger than glue. So I just kind of laid this piece down so I can see where to put my tape. So I'm going to take the tear and tape off of one edge, one side. And then I'm going to position this piece. So this is all flat. I'm going to position this piece right at the bottom corner. Just, it fits perfectly. Just like that. Okay. So you can see how the designer series paper all lines up because of the measurements, but that'll all be on my blog for you. So now I'm going to take the tear and tape off of this side, and I'm going to attach this side. So the way I can open this all the way up, just like this, lay it flat, and it just goes together just like that. Okay, so that is how it all stands up. So now we're going to keep on going. So I have this little piece that I cut out. That's the little manger scene, or the stable scene. And I cut another one just because after I saw this one, I just wanted it to be a little bit stronger. So I'm just going to glue, I just cut the top piece out. So I'm going to glue these two pieces together just to give it more stability. So I glued that on the back, and I did it in the same color, so it's not going to show, and it's going to be just fine. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of fold this flat so I can see how high up I want the stable scene to go. And as you can see, the legs are a little bit longer. So I'm going to trim that down. I'm going to mark it with the pencil because it's not going to show when I get all done. I'll show you why. So I'm going to go ahead and trim. I'm going to save these little pieces because we're going to put them on again in a bit. Okay, so this is the part where you just have to fuss just a little bit, because this manger scene, this manger part, basically just fits perfectly. So you got to make sure that you don't put it over too far, and so you want to actually make it look like it's just a little bit off the fold, and then it'll match exactly. So I am going to put some glue on the back of this side of the stable. And then I'm going to attach it. So there's the fold. I'm going to attach it, but again, I'm going to make it come in just a little bit over that fold. Just a little bit. Now I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to put some glue on the back of this. And pretty much when you have it open, it fits just right. So see, when I have to let that glue set. So while that's setting, I'm going to go ahead and put these little feet back on, or the stable base. And I'm going to actually cut it down so it's just a little tiny rectangle. Okay, so when I added those little feet, you'll see there's more texture on one side. So make sure you glue the wrong side and put it down so you can see all that texture coming through. And there's our modified little stable scene, just like that. So it fits just perfect. So can you see how that's going to work? You see the little people through there. It looks so pretty. Okay, now we're going to add some animals to the front. Here's our sample. So I'm going to bring in the little donkey, and I'm going to glue him right about there. And then we're going to do our little masking trick here. We're going to put a little bit of the black, we're going to put the black camel behind the Cajun craze, and we're just going to have a little bit of that black showing. And it just makes them pop a little bit better on our card so you can see it just a little bit better. Okay, just like that. Now I'm going to go ahead and glue him onto this part of our scene. And you know, I like to use my silicone mat to catch that extra glue so it doesn't squirt out on our card. So now I'm going to go ahead and lay our camel down over here. I kept his head free because when you fold it back and forth and when you open it up, you don't need glue on his head. So that's how that worked. So let me go ahead and glue the donkey on. And then our cow is going to be laying right in front of the donkey. Okay, so far so good. Last thing we're going to do is I'm going to bring in a scrap of Very Vanilla, and I'm going to bring in the sentiment, Glory to the Newborn King, and that sentiment is from discontinued stamp set. It's called For Unto Us, and if you haven't heard me mention this, I have mentioned it in my previous videos this week. I'm just using the dies, but this die set comes with a beautiful, beautiful stamp set with beautiful religious sentiments, and it's called Night Divine, and all that's on page 16 of the mini catalog. But I have so many pretty stamp sets with great sentiments that can match that's what I'm using. But if you don't have it, if you don't have a stamp set that you think would go well with these dies, I highly suggest getting the Night Divine stamp set. Okay, so I'm inking this up in Memento, and I'm going to stamp it right there. Very pretty font. I like that. I'll show that to you up close. And now I'm going to punch that out with the oval punch. So this is the oval punch. It's a double punch. It has the small straight edge, and then it has a little bit larger of a scalloped oval. For this card, I'm just using the straight edge. So I have a strip here, and it fits in perfectly. I might have to trim the bottom a little bit. Nope, I think it's going to work great. So I'm just centering it and giving it a punch. I'm going to glue that on. Okay, now we need to add a star on our stable, and I think we'll be done. So I've got my little adhesive back star trinkets, and I think I'm going to put the larger one on. And what's nice about when you're making this card is it keeps laying flat, whichever way you're adding your little elements. You know, put the camel on, you can lay it flat. Put the donkey on, you can lay it flat. Now we're putting the star on, and that's how you put it together. So let me get this mess out of here so we can talk about our card. Okay, so a little bit of a fun fold where it lays flat to mail, but then it does stand up. And isn't it pretty? I just love the way it turned out. And if you have the O Holy Night Designer Series paper, you can create this card with any of those Designer Series paper. There's a lot of the blue stars. There's boho blue stars. But I just thought this was different and unique, and I liked the color coordination. So hopefully you liked it, and you were inspired, and you go make your own card. Remember, all the information will be on my blog, or scroll down to where it says project sheets. Let me know what you think about today's card. Remember to share this video with your friends so we can grow our little creative group here and have lots of fun making cards and projects. I would appreciate that. And I will see you at noon. Don't be shy. Stamp and shout.